Hey y'all, Iric Sky here, and I apologize if I sound scratchy. I've come down with something. I am self quarantined, so no worries there. But I just wanted to well to getting cooped up and quarantined is kind of a crazy thing because it's like you can't go anywhere. It's not necessarily because you're afraid you might contract something. It's because you might be contagious. So you're doing everybody else you're providing the courtesy of not being anywhere where other people are. So I'm cooped up, getting over this, but I want to be productive, as productive as I can be, and I want to talk about how to prepare for an SHTF scenario. So you can decipher what SHTF means, but not here to create any sort of perceived fear, but just here to provide hopefully some useful thought processes that may better enable you to thrive during uncertain times. And again, I mean, anybody can have all the tools. They can have, potentially thousands of dollars worth of gear, but what matters the most is what's up here. So, the most important thing that any prepper should possess is the ability to think things through and anticipate what's next. So, everything that's in the news, and I'm going to say what it is because you know what it is, it's created a lot of perceived panic. And in the beginning, it was a situation where it was just kind of laughed off. It's just political, this, that, and the other. And I do feel there's a big political element to it, but it was kind of laughed off because it's like, oh, it's just another form of sickness that we've seen before, no big deal. But then the pace at which it's been able to spread has proven to people that, well, I don't know what the political elements behind this may be, but this is a new reality. So what it's inevitably created, it has at least temporarily destroyed, or not destroyed, but has at least temporarily set the economy back. It's created shortages of a lot of goods that we may be accustomed to being plentiful. Just bread and chicken and steak and crackers. I mean, it's just everything. All your cleaning products are pretty much gone. It's created a new world. You can't go out to the gym. The gym is closed. The term social distancing has become the new buzzword throughout the media today, and it's a lot of newness, and something new. New does not always imply good, and in this situation, it's a horrible thing. But even though it's a horrible thing, it is something new, and when there's something new, people, not just individuals, but society as a whole, often learn something new during that experience that can make them better thrive going forward. So what we're seeing here, in my opinion, is something that was completely, let's just say, it wasn't taken seriously enough. It was, oh, well, that's just a small area over in this huge country. What people didn't realize is how rapidly and how easily this airborne virus can spread. And the other thing is that how it can remain on objects. If you go pick something up in a store, for example, it may live on a certain surface for several days. So even if you didn't contract it through the air, you may have brought it back. Somebody may have coughed, or it may have somehow else got on that surface. So maybe you bought a pizza or something, and you got that, and then a few days later you open it up and you cook it, and you forget to wash your hands thoroughly, and you eat, and then you've got that virus in you at that point. So it's a scary thing, and that's what people didn't really see in the beginning, is that how quickly this virus would spread. So since it has spread, now it's the new normal. And the thing is, there's a lot of schools of thought for how to deal with this. I mean, you've got some people on one side of the fence that think, if they just buy all the toilet paper in the world and cleaning products, they'll be okay. But those people often forget, well, what about food? And maybe they only buy perishable food items. Well, that's not going to last a long time. Maybe they only buy frozen food items. Well, if the power goes out and you don't have a generator, or maybe you do have a generator, but then you run out of fuel, those perishable items are going to no longer be good to eat. So, you got to plan, you should plan, and have those canned goods, have those goods with with an extended shelf life. Because the thing is, in a situation like this, with a virus that spreads so quickly, where may be a safe area today may not be tomorrow. All it takes is one person on an airplane coming from, say, let's say from Washington to Mississippi, and they go to Mississippi and they drive around selling stuff, and that person from Washington had that virus, and now people all over Mississippi have that virus. Some people don't even know they have it. They go to family's house to eat, and then all their family gets sick. Then their relatives go back to their hometowns, and then they spread the thing. So that's just a quick illustration of how quickly this can spread. So even if you think you're in a safe zone, the thing is you're not. And if you believe the numbers that the media are sharing, they're not accurate. Because keep in mind, those are only reported cases. And just because someone's even been tested doesn't mean it's necessarily going to be reported. And there's so many people that may have it that may not have the symptoms, or may be writing the symptoms off as just a common cold, and they're not. So it's a lot more serious than we may think. So back to my planning ahead comment, it's a good idea, and I'm not saying go overboard with stockpiling food and stuff, but have a good stash. Have a good stash of non-perishables to at least survive a few months. Because, you don't, hypothetically, let's say everything closes down. If it all closes down, then you can't get, you can't get any more. And if it doesn't close down, the supplies may be so limited, you may not be able to get what you want. And even if it is there, the prices may be so inflated because of supply and demand that it may not be affordable. So there's a lot of uncertainty. So, planning ahead, people may laugh at it. And the people that planned ahead several months ago, or not several months ago, but several weeks ago when all of this first popped up in Wuhan, those people may have been laughed at then, but now they're probably not. And there are some extremists, and I'm not going to go to that. But what I want to talk about beyond the food and just the common sense types of items is, what you should be prepared to do. Because, you may not, even if those food items are available in a grocery store, it may be so widespread at that point that just walking in close proximity of the store, and I mean, a few feet of it, just because of the air, it may be so filled with this virus that, you're going to get it if you go in there to get some more, to try to find some more eggs or bacon. So, it's a good thing to have those canned goods stocked up because, risk reward. Well, if you are self-quarantined and you've got stuff to sustain normal life, why introduce the risk of contracting the virus if you could have planned ahead and remained self-quarantined? And I'm not a fan of government control. I think I know it's a slippery slope. But even though I'm not a fan of government control, I do believe that because of the overwhelmingly idiotic nature of society nowadays, that there's got to be a way to make this go away. Everybody's just going to have to say, look, this is common sense. If this virus has a lifespan of, I don't know, I'm not a doctor, let's say 14 days. If this virus has a lifespan of 14 days, if everybody was, quarantined, and they weren't coming in contact with anybody else, in theory, that should disappear. And in theory, the virus that's, in any sort of public areas, it stays on plastic for a few hours apparently, or a few days maybe. I think it's cardboard for 24 hours, and I think plastic. And again, this is all medical speculation that has been shared with me. So the bottom line is, if people can stay away from other people, until the virus runs its course and until it's died out on all the surfaces that it may be on, then we can start over. If we don't just, shut down, I know it's tough. It is tough. And if the internet goes out, I am doomed. If the internet goes out, I am in a world of hurt. But it's, sometimes you just got to say, it's going to be, you got to take a few steps now, a few painful steps now to make for example, you're going to the dentist. Would you rather walk into the dentist knowing that you got to have a cavity filled and them take 3 hours to do it? Or would you rather go into the dentist, get a quick deadening, and have it done in about 20 minutes? It's going to be the same experience. You're going to have an unpleasant experience in that dentist chair. But why prolong it? And that's my fear, is that society is there, due to the lack of taking it seriously initially, they have failed to prevent the spread in its early phases. Now we're in a worst case scenario. And if we don't do something now, it's even going to get worse. So I'm confident, and again, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a lawyer, I'm not a government official, I'm not a politician, but I'm personally confident that if everybody would just self-quarantine and just deal with a few weeks of subpar living conditions, I think that would make things better in the long run. But segueing into what's next, if things, and again, I'm not here to try to drum up fear, but if things don't get better, if people don't quarantine, if this continues to spread, there's a situation now where there's, a somewhat decent supply of goods. We've still got electricity, we've still got running water, a lot of us still have internet. So there's still things that are available. Let's say hypothetically, all of that starts to go away. Now we're not just inconvenienced, we're forced into a different way of living. So when and if that happens, would you possess the mental capability to bug out? And what I mean by bugging out is that, if you're not getting water out of your tap, if you're not getting electricity out of your wall outlet or whatever, in essence, everything is down, you don't have internet, and you're running low on supplies, would you be more comfortable living off of the land? And again, a lot of y'all are probably laughing right now, man, that's extreme. But is it really? And I apologize, my nose is running, and I can't wipe my nose because even though I've sanitized, I'm afraid I'm going to get that stuff. I don't know if I've got the COVID or not. I really don't. But I'm not going to wipe my face. And again, I've socially distanced. I've quarantined myself, so I'm not worried about making anybody else sick. But would you be better living off of the land? And I think in an extreme SHTF scenario, and again, hopefully everybody gets quarantined and this virus runs its course and everything's back, life is usual. But if not, I think that at least I would be more comfortable being out and having, plants and animals to eat and water to drink from a stream than I would be in a more congested area such as New York, with people potentially looting and when people that don't possess the prepper mentality, when people that don't possess the prepper mentality, when their life changes and they haven't had experience with any sort of survival skills experience, or even camping for that matter, or let's say they haven't even been glamping, they're way out there. They don't know how to do it. What I always ask myself, if I was dumped, and this is something I want to do once the economy rebounds and once this virus is gone, so I can go there, but I want to go to Alaska and just have a bush plane drop me off in the middle of nowhere and just make you survive for a week, because I think that would be a fun experience. But a lot of people aren't wired that way, and even if you're not wired that way, you may not be proficient enough with your outdoor skills to even camp overnight. So see, that's when the fear comes in, and people are like, well, God, I don't have electricity, I don't have water, I don't have food, you know, what am I going to do? And that's what separates the people that will survive from the people that will probably just start to loot and create problems for everyone else that is not bugged out. And again, by bugging out, I mean, you know, go to that, you don't want to announce it, but, you know, have that location predetermined. Know where you've got good, you know, shelter outdoors. Know where you've got good sources of water that don't dry up when it's a dry season. You know, keep that in mind, because you don't want to be stuck out there where you're only going to get water if it rains enough to fill up the creek. So, you know, take a lot of things into account, but, you know, if it comes down to it, have that bug out plan and have your gear. And I hope y'all got your gear already, because if you didn't, you probably won't. I've got enough backpacking gear because I've been backpacking for probably about 30 years now. So, you know, I've got all the magnesium fire starters. I've got the water purifiers, purification tablets, you know, stuff that I can take out in the woods. And, of course, the tent and the sleeping bag and all the solar rechargeable battery banks. All the stuff that I can take out in the woods and survive off the grid for as long as I need to. And, you know, again, I hope it doesn't come to that. And again, I'm not here to try to scare people, but I'm here to encourage everyone to think, you know, what if everything, because a lot of y'all probably didn't think that you would see the entire state of California closed already. So, you know, what's next? So now that this has been proven to be real, you know, what are your thoughts? And if you had these thoughts, and did this video that I just shared, did it make you think about things that may benefit you from a next steps perspective? Do you think I'm crazy? Tell me what you think within the comment section below, and be sure to subscribe and ring that bell icon when you do, and that'll notify you whenever I post another video. Thanks for your viewership, and be safe, and y'all have a good one. Hey y'all, Captain Irix Guy here. I hope y'all enjoyed this video. If you did, please be sure to subscribe. It's youtube.com/Irix Guy. And ring that bell icon when you do to be notified whenever I post another video. Thanks for your viewership, and y'all have a good day.